we go. We are live on YouTube. Hello and welcome to day 5. This is Hélène, Coach Hélène from The Coolest Journey. And today I've got my guest, Gabriela Herrero, with me. And it just got dark here all of a sudden. Sorry about that. Anyway, so we're going live for this 5th day of the challenge. We have some questions that we have prepared, but I've also been asked some more questions from people who have watched the videos. So thank you for watching and for asking questions. I really appreciate it. And Gabriela, how are you doing today?
I'm very good, thank you. The temperature is going up, so it's starting to feel nicer to go out.
I heard it's going up now, but it's going to go down on Sunday in your
Again, no,
area.
I don't even want to see it anymore. It's been actually really weird because the other day it was super sunny, it was warm, and then like 2 hours later, I went to get the dog out, and we were freezing. Like it's been a crazy, crazy winter here.
I'm
But there's
sorry
no
about
ice
that.
on the water anymore, which is good.
And it's made your swimming, you going out there and getting your cold swimming difficult, but you have been going out there to get your cold exposure regularly, right?
Absolutely.
I think it's a fact of Canada, right? You got to go out and shovel, or if you want to get out of the house, you have to be exposed to the cold somehow.
Yeah, but this is the first year, this is the 6th winter, right? So, but this is the first time that you said, enough is enough. I need summer. Enough with the
Ah,
cold water. I want my summer.
I think it may be because you haven't been able to have as many days of swimming, more days of just being out in the snow, maybe.
No, being
Because
out in the water, but not being able to swim just to hang around. That there's waves or there's ice, but you're just like not swimming, but just like bubbling. And it's been
eh,
hard to find a place to get in because of the shelf. But yeah, it's been a rough one.
we're going to talk more about swimming, ice shelves, or safety of entry and exit for swimming spots. But today we're going to focus more on the cold exposure itself, since this is a 21-day challenge for total cold exposure virgins. So I really want to
Hmm.
make sure that we scale it back from our usual conversation about cold swimming more towards cold exposure. Now, this is day 5, and even for me to prepare the videos and to put the program together, I knew I was doing it with the start low, go slow approach. I knew that because it's a lot for people to be exposed to cold when they don't want necessarily to be out of their comfort zone, or they just have the belief that they're going to die of hypothermia. So anyway, we started with cold, hands only, exposing to cold, feet only, feet, hands, forehead, face. And today we were doing full body exposure. So I know it was a big step today. So, Gabriela, how did you grew up in Mexico
Part of my life, yeah.
and you've been in Canada for, let me remind me, this is
29
20
years.
years, 30 years,
29, yeah.
29. How did you start to, what we would say in French, apprivoiser? How did you start to not tame, but more like develop a relationship with cold back then compared to what it is
Well,
now?
most people think that Mexico City is warm and we live on the beach and we have a machete and we cut coconuts from palm trees. But no, Mexico City is a valley, very, very high altitude. We have volcanoes with snow on the winter. So I used to go to school with no sweater, and that was a big thing when I was little because everybody would say you're gonna get sick, you're gonna get sick. So in the winter, Mexico City can start the morning. It's more like Calgary, like it starts really cold and then it gets hot again and then cold. And I didn't use a sweater. That was a big thing with my mom. Then didn't mind swimming in the outside pools. We in Mexico we have these places called clubs where you have a pool, and I was doing diving and big places. and the water was colder, and I was young, and I always prefer the cold than the warmer ones. But in reality, I started here. Um, I also was remembering, I love those. In Mexico, you call pressure showers. I don't know how here the cold ones, right? I love that one when we were little, and we even played outside in the pool. There was one, and we would play that. That would be the punishment if somebody lose a race or something. Then we would go in there, and I loved it. So I have always been like liking the cold. I don't mind the cold water and things like that, but I don't like cold showers.
Oh, we talked about this before. The two of us don't really like cold showers for a
No.
number of reasons. But I guess in Mexico, it could have been either refreshing, the cold exposure, or because, as you said, it's like Calgary, then it's cold in the morning, cold in the evening. You just developed a certain adaptation to the cold by not wearing a sweater.
Yeah, now we should not compare it to Calgary. Calgary is minus 50. Mexico City goes down to, I don't know, minus 5 in a really, really like cold winter, not minus 50. So it's just the difference in temperature that you have to wear a sweater, then you're in shorts, and then you have a jacket at night.
Okay. So,
But yeah,
but
there has been an adaptation, definitely.
yeah, and then when you moved to Canada, because you had that cold adaptation already in Mexico, did you feel it was a complete shock to you, or it wasn't too bad?
It wasn't too bad for me. Like we went skiing many, many times. I lived in France, so I went to the in the winters there to Switzerland and things. So the winter was not a new thing for me. What is something that shocked my neighbors was that I was shoveling snow in my bare feet.
And your bare feet? Oh my
I still
goodness.
do it.
You are amazing. My feet, I'm like a little princess with my feet. The rest of my body fine, but the feet, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I still do it sometimes. I just like it. I'm crazy. I shovel with no mittens or gloves or anything like that. I ski in jeans sometimes. Rarely. I can. I'm claustrophobic, so having like also many clothes that people use, I die. So if it's very cold, yes, I wear my ski pants. But usually, I can wear my running things to ski. Like I cannot be hot, and it's not menopause. It is since I was young.
I think you were telling me as well that you never really wore socks in your shoes or boots, even in Canada,
Even in
right?
the winter, no. I
Yeah.
have never ever in my whole life wear thermal clothes ever. Never. I've never had a pair. Never. People think that we ski with those things. No, no. Mm-mm.
So I think maybe that's why, given all of these decades behind you of cold exposure, your body has cold adapted. And that could explain why you can swim so well and tolerate the cold for so long.
Maybe. Maybe. I've never thought about it, but yeah. And I like it, right? I've never been afraid of the cold. I'm more afraid, honestly, of the heat.
Yes. So let's actually stick around this for a moment. You said you like it. How do you feel in cold that makes you like it? Actually, is it when you're exposed to the cold or afterwards? Got so many questions now.
Honestly, I think it's both, but learning after we started swimming, do you remember? Obviously, when you come out of the water and it's so cold, it hurts. But then that high, I had never experienced that. Even skiing, never, never, ever. Um, that was something that was absolutely amazing. And then learning that during the winter, there's no noise in the water, no boats, no swimmers, no. It was it was beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So I think I learned that when we started swimming in the cold.
I think there's a certain peace and centeredness that we get from doing this activity. You mentioned when you were here in BC that you found it was very maybe not loud, but there were noises
There was
underwater
more noise. Yeah.
that you did not have, or you do not have in Lake Ontario in the winter. Perhaps that silence helps to silence everything else and just makes us focus on the sensations of the cold on our body, the cold water, the cold air. As we're swimming and we have our arm out, we can feel the wind, and there's different sensations there. Maybe that's why we like it so much. But for you, basically, you feel great in the water, you get the high afterwards, and it's the whole piece that you enjoy.
Yeah. Now, I think because also you and I are very privileged. We live in a beautiful country. So just being at the lake or being in the ocean and looking at nature, uh, like for example, I don't know if you remember that day that there was a weasel. I don't know what animal was it. It was a mink, and it got into my things looking for food.
Yes.
Like we have had many experiences that we are very privileged to have. Watching the sunset, the sunrise, like that also plays part on the beauty of doing this. And there's no people.
We feel like, especially around Lake Ontario, it's the most populous area or most populated area in Canada. And yet there we were, mostly alone, almost in the middle of nowhere, meaning Lake Ontario in the winter. It's pretty isolated. It's,
Isolated. Still is.
yeah.
And well, we started during COVID, so there was not a lot of people, but still you feel alone. There's very few people walking on the beach.
And just as a recap for those of us who don't really know us, we both started swimming in Lake Ontario. COVID for me was September. You joined me in November.
November. But then
November.
I went a month to
Yeah.
Mexico.
Yeah, you left for Mexico, you came back, and then we swam through the winter in Lake Ontario
Yeah,
together. And then in May 2021, I moved to Vancouver. Ah, but BC is gorgeous. So I've been swimming
absolutely.
at Kitsilano Beach ever since. Actually, once a month, I now organize a free ocean outing from October to May. So it's the first Saturday of the month. And if people are interested, they can look on Eventbrite and they can sign up there, or they can go on the website, thecoolestjourney.com. They'll see all of the events that are listed, sign up, no problem. So these free ocean outings are really meant as an introduction to cold open water swimming or floating or dipping or doggy paddling, whatever people want to do. But it's the first time that people come, I always tell them, you got 2 minutes in the water and I want you
Get out.
out. Just because
Yeah.
it's the first time, there's so many things to process. And it's a little bit like this challenge. When people are not used to being exposed to the cold and they have to expose the hands, it's a lot to process for someone who's never done it before. Holding something really, really cold in your hands for 60 seconds, it's usually a little bit outside the comfort zone. Same thing with exposing the feet for 60 seconds. Same thing with the face, same thing for the whole thing. And today it was the whole body exposure. And that really takes people out of their comfort zone, which is why today I went to 20 to 60 seconds exposure, and more if people still felt pretty good, and less if people felt it was too much. But the whole point is to breathe through that, what we call the cold shock response. It's that initial body reaction to the cold, because when we do have that cold shock response, our nervous system gets super activated, basically sympathetic. And then when we breathe through it, we calm down. And so it's more the parasympathetic system that takes over. Unbelievably, this is what I tell people, unbelievably, the parasympathetic system can be activated, sympathetic being fight or flight, parasympathetic being rest and digest. So we do fall into oh, I am resting in this cold water or resting in this cold hand exposure. Most people would think, oh no, I'm going to panic throughout. But no, we get to find that space where everything calms down and the body finds peace. How long does it take you to find that peace when you're now exposed to the cold?
It depends on a lot of factors. For example, today was the air temperature was -5. I can be outside without a hurry, but if outside is like -10, -12, and it's windy, I need to find that peace very fast, or it's horrible. I would say maybe between 2 to 5 minutes, especially because of my headaches, right? Like my brain freeze. So yeah, maybe 5 minutes, 5 minutes, I would say, until I find my place to start swimming.
Right, right. And you breathe, I know you breathe through it. You have a number of strategies that you've put in place since the beginning. Now, the one where you swirl the some of the
Water.
water in your mouth, does it still work for you?
In Lake Ontario, it does. In Vancouver was a little bit of like, because I have to do it like 3, 4 times. So the salty water made it a little uncomfortable. Obviously, I'm not swallowing anything, but it was. I know that's gonna make me thirsty. So, but it worked. I mean, I was able to swim because I swirled the water. Now, it's the same thing that happens when you eat ice cream. When you eat the ice cream, is your palate the one that sends the signal to the brain that it's cold. So what I'm doing is telling my brain, you're gonna get in, but my brain kind of likes me to do the swirl thing, or I don't know what. So I play with it. I put it in my mouth, and then I do like the fountain thing. So I have a little bit of fun.
You spit it out like a whale. Psh,
Yep,
psh.
here I come.
That's funny. But it's interesting because everyone is a little different, right? For cold adaptation and for cold, what is also called neuromodulation. So basically, there's the adapting. Like when do we feel comfortable with the cold, right? How do we adapt to different levels of cold? If it's just the hands or the full body, and is it in a shower? Is it in a bathtub? Is it just walking in the freezer at Costco? Is it sitting in a very cold room? As someone was telling me that in Asia, in Southeast Asia, the movie theaters are typically extremely cold when people walk in.
Oh,
And it's almost
interesting.
like a freezer. And I guess it's because it's so hot outside
Mm.
that they have to compensate for the body heat from every human coming into the room, right? So they
Oh,
start really
wow.
cold, and then as the room fills in, it's my theory, who knows what it is. Sounded good. But if you go in that room without a coat on, you're going to be cold. So that's another way of getting the
Mm.
cold exposure on. So as we cold expose ourselves more and more, then we become more used to it. So there's that cold that we're adapting to, okay, there's going to be a cold shock response, right? And how long is it going to take us? For some people, like you were saying, 2 to 5 minutes, it's still because of you get the ice cream headache going, the brain freeze. I don't get the brain freeze. So usually for me, it's 20, 25 seconds. So I'm lucky, but I can't just stand. And some people dip in the water. They just stand for 2 to 5 minutes. That drives me crazy. I need to move, which is interesting because when we're moving, it's like wind, right? We're being stripped of our thermal envelope. But I just need to get that internal engine going. So as I'm moving, I'm generating heat from the inside. And that for me feels good. So everybody's has their own little thing. And so the whole purpose of this 21-day challenge is really to get people to get used to being exposed to cold. Hopefully that over time they reduce that cold shock response through the breath work that we've been doing. And that the breath work also translates into everyday activities or situations when, people are faced with very stressful situation, just breathe through it, rely on your cold exposure practice and experience to just say, this is going to be okay. We're going to breathe through it. We're going to be fine. That's the main goal. But today, I
Mm.
especially wanted to talk to you about
Oh my God.
how you started your whole cold exposure, because you are absolutely phenomenal in terms of cold, how can I say, cold exposure length. And it's not about how long we all go. It's not a contest. And we've talked about the fact it's not about ego. We have to put the ego way, way,
Yeah,
way aside.
way.
This is
Yeah,
not
it's
it.
could be dangerous. Yeah.
Exactly. People have to develop that that self-assessment, that self-observation, be aware of what's happening in the body, outside, gauge the situation. Is there a storm coming on the lake, which you've experienced?
Oh
Are
my
there
God.
waves that all of a sudden start? For me, currents can change like that, which is
Here too. Yeah.
a bit unsettling. So we have to take all of these things into account when we're outside. When we're doing it in a more controlled environment, then it's easier to control all of these other variables and to slowly start to get the mind used to these things, so that eventually, if someone wants to, then they can go into an ocean outing or a lake outing, or maybe they come to one of my weekends where it's a whole weekend reboot, or one of the week-long immersion. So it's, people can build a different length, and maybe they just go out by themselves to their favorite lake, or there's another group close to them that does ocean swimming, so they're better equipped to deal with that. So
Yeah.
you get your cold pretty much every day, Gabriela, in terms of being exposed to snow. You have a dog, so you take the dog out, so
Every
that's
day.
every day. That dog
Rain or
is
shine
that
or
that
snow.
little that little active brioche always needs to be outside. So you get that cool in that way.
Yeah.
What else would you tell people how they can get their cold on?
Well, like I said before, try to do things without a hat, or try to do things without the gloves and the mittens. Even like I see people that they're super warm in their car, then they put the mittens and they put gas in their car. But try to do it without it. So you feel what it is to be cold, and then what it feels to rewarm, which I think it's something we need to talk. The rewarming part is what might scare people in reality, not getting cold. That is something that I do. Another thing that I do is, if you have layers, take off the layers. Start taking off and see in reality what is that threshold where you feel comfortable, but a little bit of comfortable, because we like to cover ourselves and the scarves and the hat, and we like completely covered. Just try to feel it and try to see when is in reality that your body says, I'm cold.
Do you remember I think we shared an article about babies. Was it in Finland
In
where
Iceland, the babies are
Ice,
outside.
which I was so surprised. So you're the one who sent me that article. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, in Iceland, when the first time that I went to Iceland, it was March and it was cold. Like, as a Canadian, it's not that cold, but it's cold for most people. And we went for a coffee, and all the strollers were outside with the babies. And we were like, why do you leave the babies outside? Like, that
Wait,
is
wait.
horrible.
So you mean the parents were inside having coffee
Inside,
and
yeah,
the
and they leave the strollers outside with the babies.
God, that's crazy. I
They're
forgot that part.
wrapped and they covered, but they leave them outside.
So the face is exposed
The
to the
face is
cold.
exposed. Yeah, yeah. Now March was not as cold for Icelandics even, but yeah, the babies were outside. One shock for everybody that comes to visit to Canada is it's minus 15 and the kids are outside playing. Yes, they have their snowsuits, but they're playing. So in this culture, you teach them to enjoy the winter. And I remember at minus 15, they will put them inside and they will have to play in. But that's called exposure, and that's to make them more resilient and be able to. Then I see the kids with no hats and not covering their ears walking to the high school. And it's 1.5 kilometers away. That's called exposure. That's negligent cold exposure.
Yes, we can say a lot of things about those teenagers who run hot,
I know.
or I mean, I think part of the reasons part of the reason that this is happening, that we see our teenagers just not wearing a lot of clothes in the middle of winter, I think one is that they think they're cool if they're not properly dressed, maybe, but also because they are teenagers. And so their bodies are shifting, their hormones are all over the place. And I will
I
bet
know.
you as women have menopause hot flashes, these poor teenage kids probably have the same thing going on where they're, oh my God, it's hot, it's hot.
It's
Maybe not in
hot.
the same way, but they can run hot for a few months, right? And so maybe
Yeah.
for them, it feels good to be like that. I have one of my nephews, he would, I mean, he would basically be in long shorts and t-shirt in the middle of winter. Pretty,
Yeah. But
pretty good
I
for them.
believe also is your parents. Your parents play a big part. I remember the first time I took Antoine, he was 3 months old, and we went to Mexico. Antoine was born in the middle of winter. So every day we would go outside. I would not overcover him because I don't like to be completely covered. So my mom used to have a house in the mountains, let's say like Muskoka. So it was cold, and the and my sister-in-law would immediately put the sweatshirt and the booties on Antoine, and Antoine started, his cheeks were like, whoop, to the point
Oh,
that they started calling him the Apple Kid. And I'm like,
so
yeah, he's hot.
he was
He's
overheating.
he's overheating. Can you please remove the sweatshirt? And he was like, I am so cold. The baby must be cold. Not this one. But if you are a parent that it's always, always covered with three jackets, your kids will obviously do that. So if you were a kid that your parents overprotected you with all these jackets and mittens and scarves and everything, you will always be cold.
Okay, so I definitely want to talk more about this because we don't have children. But I do feel that we project our own feelings in terms of I'm hot, I'm cold onto other people around us, and especially I'm guessing kids, right? If it's cold outside, oh, we want to make sure that they're bundled up, which is a typical thing here in Canada. And if it's hot, well, we just want to make sure that they're not going to burn and all of these things. So what would you tell parents about about bundling their children here in Canada? Would you just say like let them decide what to wear?
Well, I think that is part of the culture, right? Like if you are Indian and you came to Canada, you're obviously going to put like 10,000
Layers on.
things on the kid. I am not an expert, but lots of babies died because they are overheating when they're babies, right? Like SIDS and all of those things. It's sometimes because they're over. Look, I don't know how to say it, over whatever.
Over
I'm not an
bundled.
expert, but I would expose. My kids were exposed to cold with their hands, with their feet. Antoine is like me. Antoine goes out and shovels snow with his Lucian. No, Lucian, it's a little bit more. I need my gloves. Like I would never see her with a dog without mittens. She always
Right.
wears mittens.
Right.
Um,
And this is just to say, so people who are listening and watching, so people understand, we're not talking about putting someone's life at risk. We're not talking
no,
about
no,
getting
no.
hypothermia. We're just talking about being comfortable outside and how to develop that cold adaptation. And I could totally see Antoine doing the shoveling as well, like you. And I think some of us are just more predisposed that like you get that brain freeze when you're in the water. I don't, but my hands are pretty fragile. So I could be outside shoveling, but I would need something to protect my hands. They get very dry and they split open, so that's something to avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah. And barefoot, no, because I'm like I've said before, I feel like I'm a little princess. I've got like super sensitive skin under my feet. But otherwise, I could very well be in shorts and tank top and do this outside or in my bikini because that's actually what I did today for my well, I was in the ocean earlier, but for the video that I shot today, I was actually in my bikini outside on my balcony. It was probably 2, 3 degrees in the wind. I thought it was a little warmer initially, but no. By the end, I was like, no, it's cold. 2 or 3 degrees. So I think everyone has to think about what their more vulnerable parts are, protect those, and then see if maybe you can expose other parts of your body to the cold, right?
Yeah.
That
And
sounds like
then we have to tell that there are certain parts that feel really cold for men, and there are certain parts that feel really cold for women. So,
remember when we started to swim in Lake Ontario, the boys, they would all stop. They would be walking in the water and then get to the top of their thighs and they're like, and we were like,
There's
Good.
nothing.
And
Well,
then the bits.
Antoine, the first time he went with me, Peter was with us, and Antoine is like, Mom, is this normal? Is this normal? And I said, I don't know. Ask Peter. Mom.
I, I think I think Antoine actually said something like, "Is it gonna go back to normal afterwards?" Well, the good news is yes, it goes back to
Yeah, they do.
normal as everything goes shrinks back inside your body. Everything goes back out normal. Now we're two women talking about this. I'll have to have the conversation with a guy, but someone who's not afraid of talking about this. But I mean, for us, you've talked about, wait, is it the back of your neck that's more
Yeah,
sensitive?
this part, the like the this part of my, and I think it's because of my hair that
Right.
when I am in cold water, then immediately starts like dripping. I don't like that. That's why I don't like cold showers because they get in my back. That's the last
Yeah.
part that goes in the water, right? So I'm fine. And then the sun, when the sun is there, it's like, oh,
Just
delicious.
feels so good. But I'm happy you actually mentioned this quickly, because one of the options for total body exposure today is to go in the shower. So maybe we expose different parts of our body before, putting in that weaker spot. So for you, it would be the head maybe goes last. I know for me, if I have to take a cold shower, and I say if because I will. Plan A is open water, so usually Kislano Beach. Plan B is my cold plunge at the local aquatic center. Plan C would be the cold shower. And honestly, after that, it's like cold, the hands, the feet, the face, right? But that cold shower is not on top of my list. And when I do it, I'll put my hands, I'll put my feet, and I warm up I start with warm first, and they get all wet. Then I'll put it to cold, then I'll hands, feet, and then I put my head under, and then I'm okay. It's really strange. And for me, it's the lower back.
Hmm. Now, obviously, you cannot compare the shower ever to the temperature outside in the lake. But what I feel with cold showers is that maybe the cold shower should be done before getting the shower because if you are warm, how hot is the water when you shower? Like it's above the temperature of your body. And then you would do the cold water, it's a shock to your body. Maybe that's why I don't like it. But I've never tried to do it before actually putting the hot water. I'll do it one day. I'll do it today.
Yeah, you'll
That's
have to
my
try.
challenge. That would be
But
my challenge.
if I think about how warm it's not even hot, how warm the water is for me, it's tepid. It's just comfortable enough so that I can get underneath it. So I'll put hands. Oh, and actually, I've tried two strategies for showers because I really don't like the showers. But you know, if we're at home and that's the only thing we have access to, there's a snowstorm outside. There was an ice storm. We're stuck at home, and even getting out of the house to stand outside is difficult. And cold shower it is. Uh, what I have done is warm, go under, and then bam into
Yeah.
cold while my head is under, so that it feels more like it's dripping on the rest of my body. That I'm totally fine with. I find it's I just remembered that's the latest strategy that I used, and that works better for me. So you said, yeah, so you've tried this one as well then,
Yeah,
right? Like
I've tried that one. Yeah, definitely. And then at the gym, at the gym we have the cold showers
the
on the
rain
top.
the rain
And
shower type.
sometimes they don't work correctly anymore. So you're showering and you have the like Chinese torture, like the little cold. I don't like it. Yeah, but it's cold, cold, cold. I don't like it. Something I was thinking about is I remember when I used to run and I used to do a lot of walking. Like if I go away, let's say, and you walk a lot, I like cold water in my feet because I feel they will shrink when they're swollen. That's something I do at
Oh,
the hotel. I sit down on the tub and I'm like, ah, I feel good because I feel like they shrink.
and they
That is
do.
something that I've done a lot of times with when my feet hurt.
They do because it's cold exposure. Therefore, it helps to control inflammation. Anyone can go to their family doctor, physio clinic, talk to a first aid responder or a first responder. They'll all tell you the same thing. If you've hurt yourself and you can start to feel the swelling, put a pack of ice on it. Now, there's a lot of different theories coming out right now to say maybe ice is not the best thing, but ice will control the swelling. It will keep it where it is or reduce the swelling. It depends on when the incident is happening. So you're with your feet at the end of the day, when your feet are hurting after a lot of hours of walking, possibly, that would be total relief.
Yeah, usually is when I'm traveling or also flights. I don't know if on an airplane, if it's a long flight, sometimes my ankles, especially, and I know that if I used to have my Starbucks coffee and then a croissant. If you don't eat carbs, you will not get swollen in the plane.
Oh, so first of all, what we eat before and if we're well hydrated will
Absolutely.
have an
A
impact on
difference on
our,
the plane. Yeah.
yeah, and the swelling is part of it is carbs and fluids that we ingest, but it's also lymphatic fluid that is just not circulating well. So walking on the plane could help, doing some light
Yeah, I
exercises.
even do yoga on my seat, but sometimes if it's a flight, I did a flight that was almost 14 hours. There's not a lot you can do.
No, no.
My ankles were like,
Yeah, I have problems with my ankles usually. Now, when you came to BC, you came here on February 5th for my birthday and you left on February 10th. In the flight that you took, and it was late, there were some stress around it too. By the time you landed here, I didn't ask you, but were your ankles swollen?
nah, 5 hours, no.
No?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Plus, you will see me at the airport. I don't understand people. You're gonna fly, you're gonna be on a freaking plane for maybe 6 hours because it's tarmac time, and they're sitting down. No, you will see me walking all the airport. I walk. So that day I walked maybe 2 hours because we were delayed. So I walk around. Da, 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 da. I'm gonna be sitting down for 5 hours.
Now, these are great tips for traveling from our
Yeah,
pro Gabriela
let's
Herrero.
do let's do another podcast on how to travel and not have your feet swollen.
I was asking about your ankles when you came here. That was 3.5 weeks ago, because I picked you up from the airport. We came to my place over here to have some food because 2 hours delayed, it meant the whole day was shifted. What we had planned, but also for you, what you had, what and when you had eaten. And then we went to Jericho Beach to go into the ocean. So I was wondering if you had some ankle swelling, if going into the cold ocean afterwards helped you in any way.
No, but I didn't feel any of the jet lag because it was a 3 hour difference. So I didn't feel anything. Like I went to bed at a normal hour and I woke up the next day and I was feeling great. So I guess it also helped with that to my body settle better after a long trip, which we would be considered a long trip. It's 5 hours, five
Yeah, yeah.
hours and 15 minutes.
All of a sudden, I know I had a set of questions that I wanted to make sure we're going to answer, but I think we've covered most of them. And I just realized something that we absolutely need to talk about. Um, and I'm going to give a little bit of context to this. Doing this 21-day challenge, I've had to expose my feet more to the cold at home than I normally would. I usually am in the ocean in the morning, and then the rest of the day I do other things and I don't really expose myself because I'm in the water 10, 20, 25 minutes already at 6, 7 degrees. I don't need extra during my day, except I've been dealing with feet injuries for a while. Can't remember everything that's going on. I've got a bubble of liquid. I've got a tear in the fascia, thickening of the tendon, which is the tendonitis in the arch. I've got bursitis on top of the foot. It's just not pretty. It's a series of what they would call minor injuries, but it's preventing me from walking. Fast forward this week, I'm doing this 21-day challenge. I'm doing the videos. I'm preparing different things. I'm exposing my feet more, myself, but my feet more to the cold during the day. Wouldn't you know it, I feel better. Huh. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to start to expose my feet 5-6 times per day. And I did see my specialist this week who did tell me the first thing when you get some type of, it's a longer term injury, he said to me, anti-inflammatories would be first. And I just can't, it's not that I don't want to take them. I cannot take them because I react. He said, first of all, we have to control the inflammation and the pain. And then once that's done, then we can start to do the exercises. But we cannot start to do the exercises without controlling the inflammation. And I mean, I do the cold ocean outing every day, swimming, and serious, not just 2 minutes. I mean, I'm in there for a while. I have an anti-inflammation diet that I eat, and you were here, you saw what we eat. We have some therapeutic tools here. We have a PEMF, which is pulse electromagnetic field therapy, using the Sequex brand. It's really good. It helps to control inflammation in the body. And I have tools to make sure
Amazing.
that's exactly where I'm going with this.
Amazing.
I focus on the foot, right? So it helps with the inflammation on the foot. We have a hyperbaric chamber as well. So I have all of these things, and yet I cannot control the inflammation in my feet, because at this point my right foot is compensating for the left foot, so my right foot's not happy as well. I'm doing this cold exposure at home more often, and all of a sudden I start to feel better. So it's almost like that doctor was telling me, yeah, if you can't take the anti-inflammatories, we have to figure out how to control the inflammation every single day. So cold is one way. Ultrasound, which I'm starting today, is going to be the second way. But the cold ongoing exposure throughout the day is possibly the best way for me right now. I've set up the stage for you. When you came here, right, two things happened. Well, I would say maybe three. One is that you had to, you stayed here with me, so you had no choice but to.
Oh, the food. Yeah, I saw. Did I fall 3 times? Oh my God. Maybe I got a concussion.
No. Enough with the mishaps. But you had to change what you eat.
My diet completely.
You eat well at home, but over here we're just vegan, allergen free because I react. So you were kind enough to not bring any scented products and to also eat what I don't react to, which is a vegan, allergen free diet. So I'm sure that may have contributed to it. But
I would think so, yes. Definitely no gluten.
Yeah, no gluten makes a big
almost
difference.
nothing refined. My most difficult thing for me is bread. I love bread, so I love, but not cookies, but like a croissant and things like that. I didn't have any. I had a muffin, but after I climbed 2 hours, so it was allowed, and it was vegan.
Well, so on Friday, you land on the Thursday. You're in the ocean at Jericho. You go home and you're fine. Jet lag, time difference, all good. Friday, we go to Whistler. We end it on the way back. We stop at Porto Cove and we decide we're going to go swimming there. You have to go back in the car to get something. As you're coming down the stairs,
I changed my shoes from my hiking shoes. I changed to my Crocs, and I completely forgot that I was, because with my hiking shoes, I know I'm okay, but I changed to my Crocs. And then when I was going down the steps, it's damp, so all the rocks have the green moss.
Mm-hmm.
And I just saw Ador's face. I didn't see yours. I just saw Ador's.
I thought, oh my goodness, it was a bad fall. It was a bad fall. You slipped, you fell, and you fell backwards as well. So we thought you hit your head, I was thinking broken hips, broken
oh my God.
concussion. I'm going extreme, man. You can tell I'm projecting my own injuries on you, right?
God.
I know what would have happened to me. thank goodness you had the big coat on. You had that big change robe on, the big red jacket. Adore was right there. We get to you. Yeah, the coat was pretty dirty, but you had injured
I
your
just
arm.
injured, like I did this, like my hand went back like that, but it was this muscle that was hurting.
In the
So
forearm.
yeah, it was this that was, and it was hurting bad. Now, this hand, I broke it. I fell from a horse and I I broke this thumb and my wrist. That was a long time ago. But still, when I ride my bike or if I go bowling or things that bother this part, it hurts. So I felt like that, and this part was in pain. I'm not gonna say excruciating pain, but it was on pain. Like
It
at the
was
beginning, I thought
it
maybe
was
I
a
broke
solid,
it,
yeah. It
but
was a
no, I
solid
could.
8.
Yeah, I
I
can,
would,
and I swam a little,
but
but
so
it was sore.
this is what I was going to say. You fell,
Yes,
and minutes afterwards, you were in the cold water.
we were in the water.
And so after that, we went back in the car and then we drove home. But you were exposed to the cold, and we were in there. I can't remember, what, 15
Half an
minutes?
hour at least, just like looking at the
Oh yeah,
crabs, and
you're right. We were there at least 25 minutes because the crabs were
we
doing a
were
little.
way yeah, we were playing there, and we were happy as usual and laughing.
But I think the cold exposure right after the traumatic incident, which was your fall, would have helped with how you felt in your arm. Now, fast forward a little bit, we get home, I put you on the Sequex, on the
Hmm.
BMF, and then we have dinner, and then the next day, I ask you how you're feeling, and
Amazing. I mean, it was still a little sore, but nothing compared to what I was feeling the night before. But that was not the most impressive part of the pain.
so Saturday morning, we go
I
to
can't.
Kitsilano, we swim. So what, maybe 15 minutes, 20, whatever. We were
No, that day was also a
20,
long,
25.
yeah, 25 maybe. The day on White Rock was 25 minutes that I clicked. You click
Yeah.
longer. And then on Kitsilano, uh, actually we were there, I was 28 minutes.
Okay. So you were
Yeah,
out there
we swam a
for a while.
kilometer that day.
I
Yeah.
think mine clocked in at 990 meters instead of I'm 10 meters short. I hate it when that happens, Strava. It didn't happen, right? Anyway, so we did that.
Yeah.
We had, and this was as part of the free ocean outing. So that was on Saturday, February 7th. So we had a
Hmm.
group there. And because it was close to my birthday, we had cake and we had stuff to eat. We had tea. So we chatted, we hung out, moved a little bit. We were still kind of chilly when I wouldn't say cold, still chilly. We get in the car, and because you were visiting Vancouver, it had been a long time. Of course, I tell you, you're not here for a long time, but what you need to do is you need to do Grouse Mountain. You need to do the grouse grind. So we get there and you do the BCMC, which is the trail that's kind of like parallel to the grouse grind. Grouse grind was closed that day. And I meet you at the summit. And I know because Adore was with you, and he was telling me, yeah, Gabriela had some issues with one of her legs, and it was a tough
I had an
climb.
issue. I have an issue with my left knee. More than the knee is the muscle. It's hurt. And every time in the winter when I go out with a dog and there's so much snow with the boots, you know that you step on the snow, the foot goes in, and so that day my knee was hurting. So going up is a bunch of steps, natural steps, but they're high. So I couldn't put the weight on one foot first and then the other. So probably I climbed 3/4 with the right leg, and I could feel my hamstring like
Burning.
burning.
And
I had
when you say 3/4, that was how much time?
That was an hour and 45 minutes
So
of
for
climbing.
an
Yeah.
hour 15, an hour 20 minutes, you were
Yeah.
using one leg.
One leg, honestly, one leg. So my hamstring and my quads were like, and at some point it was like, please, Adore, let me wait, por favor, please, please. I feel like my legs are going to crumble. So in my mind, it was like, oh my God, tomorrow I'm not gonna be able to even like tie my shoes. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? So I got up, I had my coffee, which was amazing, my little muffin. Then we went down. And then when we got home, oh no, we went to the rec center.
Mhm.
So I had the sauna, I
Sauna.
had the steam room, which I love. Then we went home, absolutely fabulous dinner. And then you put me on the machine again
On the sequex, yeah.
for my arm and for the legs, both legs. And the next day, I was not sore at all. Like even if I go to yoga, I feel sore. Nothing, zero, nada,
Yeah, so
niente.
that muscle soreness that we feel post exercise, that's called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. I'm one to have, for decades I had it. It was so bad, it would take me a lot longer to recover from training than other people. Ever since I got the PEMF and I combine it with cold swimming, I rarely get DOMS. So that's what you and also because I'm on a vegan allergen-free diet, it all goes hand in hand. When you were here, that's pretty much what you experienced as well.
It was
Heavy,
amazing.
intense exercise, trauma with the fall. You were in cold water. You get the benefit of the sauna as well to relax, but you're
Mhm.
also on the PEMF and bam, you're good.
It was incredible. No, not 1 inch of lactic acid was on my muscles. Nothing.
And I think you also get DOMS usually, like you were
And
saying,
I
you feel.
like it. If I don't feel pain, for me, it's no pain, no gain. So it was like, what the heck?
So wait a second. Does this mean that next time you're coming over here, we're
We're doing
having
it
you?
double
Yeah, you're doing a double on the BCMC or the grouse grind on one leg,
on one leg.
just to test out to see if you're
Just
gonna
to
have
test
some
it.
DOMs.
Yeah. It was incredible. I still cannot believe it. It's like, what the heck happened? Why don't I feel anything? I swear I thought I'm going to have this pain like for 5 days. Like I'm not going to be able to go on the stairs. Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was like I didn't go to the mountain. Very impressive.
And that really brings the question of, yeah, how much can we really push, right? When we know that we're not going to be sore the next day.
Oh my God, that would be no, that's not a good thing.
We do get that. That's a feedback mechanism, right? Our body's like, okay, okay. But when we listen to our body, like you knew when you were going up the mountain, you knew your legs were telling you this is too
Oh
much.
yeah,
Like
my
I'm
legs were about to
done.
expire. Yeah. And obviously when you don't know where you're going, because when I saw the amount of I do with that with Virage about 12,000 steps once and then 12,000 steps that afternoon. It was 8,000 steps. It was less than going out with the dog once. But that inclination, it was brutal. Plus it was slippery because it was icy. It was but because you don't know where you're going, also you don't want to put all your effort going. So my legs were like, okay, let's wait. And it was horrible to see all these people, even older people, like going up.
Passing you. Or
Oh my God, the kid that passed me. But he cheated because his father carried him halfway.
Did you should have asked the father to carry you too while you're at it. But actually, this is another interesting conversation is this was your first time doing it. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of variables for your brain to process. Goal number one is just to get the distance in. Basically, start at the base, get to the top. Yeah, right. It's survival. The second and third time that you would do it, I'm assuming you would have possibly different strategies. You know what to expect. You know what the terrain is like. You know how the weather could be changing, what to expect from your own legs? What would you do different the next time?
First of all, I will not wear two jackets because and the bag was too heavy.
Ah,
I had to
yes.
I had to I had to put the bag in front of me because I was like, oh, I'm going backwards. But what would I do different? Maybe I will not stop that often because I know it's doable. It's like when I started cold swimming. There was a person that wanted me to do the ice mile very fast, and she was scaring me most of the time. Don't do it. Be careful. 1 minute, 2 minutes. So I was like, oh, I'm so afraid. I'm gonna die. So the first we used to swim like 25 meters, 50 meters until I met another woman that says, don't listen to it, just go. And I swam 400 meters that day. It's the same with this. Like everybody's like, oh my God, he's the stairmaster of the world. You're gonna die. You're gonna do. Even though you told me that your friend did it, I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
Yeah, my friend did it. Let's qualify my friend. My friend was waiting for heart surgery and had a lot of AFib going on, and he did it. So kudos to you, Etienne.
Yeah,
But
kudos.
yeah, and so but basically he had to make sure his heart rate was staying at a certain level, not go any higher. So he had to, go slowly, but make sure he was taking breaks whenever the heart rate would start to spike up. Take a break and then slowly up. So he did it, and that's why I told you you can do this, because it's not just because Etienne did it. It's because if you go at your own pace, you listen to your body, which I know you can do, then of course you could do it, right?
Yeah.
But
If
I
the
think,
kid did it, I'll do it. I will do it
ah,
too.
at one point we were past. This was way back. We're going back in 2002. Adore and I were we went to Calgary. Then we were in the mountains in the Kamloops area. Not Kamloops, Canmore area. And we were passed by a group of 70 and 80-year-olds. And we were like, good for you. We want to be you guys when we grow up. And they were all like serious hikers with their poles and all their equipment.
Yeah.
But coming back to the next time you would come, you would have different strategies in mind. Like, for example, during this 21-day cold challenge, people who would redo this may have different strategies that they would develop, knowing
Absolutely.
what to expect, right?
Absolutely.
Now, the one thing I think we should do again when you come back is making sure that you get into the cold water before you get to the grouse. Because I
Mm.
also believe that because you were still slightly chilly from the swim,
Oh, yeah.
I think it also impacted how much muscle soreness you're going to get the next day. And I'm saying this because of the research by Dr. Craig Heller out of Stanford University. He does a lot of research into human performance and cold exposure. Brilliant guy. Basically, cool down your hands, your feet, your forehead, that
Pain.
whole thing. That's from his lab. So I think because you were cold, not just hands, I mean, your hands, your feet, and your face may have been quite hot, but inside your core may still have been cold from the swim that we had done. Then it helps the muscles not to overheat. And if you don't overheat the muscles, you don't develop the inflammation. And if you have the inflammation, you don't have muscle soreness the next day.
Yeah. Crazy. But let's do an experiment. Next time, not swimming, go grouse, go swimming, and see.
Ooh, yeah, you do that.
And then the next time we do swimming, grouse, swimming.
I, we have to be methodical in our approach, and no problem. Well, hopefully next time I can join you, because
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
love
Ador was
nothing more than that.
phenomenal. He kept the conversation going and trying to put my mind somewhere else. So he was amazing.
Yes,
Amazing.
that really helps. That's the social aspect, whether we're going up a mountain or we're doing cold water. When we're with another person, our mind space is completely different, and we can talk to another person, and it's like completely isolating the physical experience, and our mind is elsewhere. It's in the conversation. So it makes it more tolerable, more bearable to have that physical experience. And I say that I broke my arm in the Dundas Valley doing trail running in the winter. I slipped on ice, fell. I knew my arm was broken. I was with a friend. We were 1 kilometer away from the trail pad station. So I had to walk holding my broken arm.
Yeah.
And I was telling my friend Kathy, just talk to me about anything. Just talk to me about your son. I just need to completely take my mind off the physical situation right now. I know I'm going to be okay once I get to the station. We can get an ambulance or Adler can come and pick me up. But that's exactly what we did. So it's like separating the physical experience from where your mind is. And that it's not avoidance as opposed to compartmentalizing, or there's actually a psychological term for this. It's just escaping my mind right now. But in any case, when we do something like that with another person, it can help to push us, but then we have to be extra careful to still be in a safe zone for ourselves, that we're not
Oh,
putting
yeah,
ourselves at
absolutely.
risk.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So DOMS, delayed
DOMS.
onset muscle soreness, the word of the day. Work out cold. So that's what I do in the gym every day. I come back from the ocean and I go and work out, and it's a pretty intense 20, 25 minutes. And I'm not sore. I'm not sore the next day. And I'm pretty sure it's the combination of the anti-inflammation diet, the cold water exposure, plus the energy therapy that
Yeah.
I'm doing, right? It's
A lot of factors, but yeah, I'm still impressed.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So miracles can happen, and that is why I really wanted for people to start some type of cold exposure practice, whether it's at home, like what we're doing here, or what we do is more outside. Then people have choices. Is there
Mhm.
anything you'd like to tell people who are doing the challenge, who are in day 5?
I would say, yeah, you can go slow, but if you feel that you can do a little bit, like a little 1%, 2% more, do it.
As long as it's in a
Yeah.
safe way, safe environment, safe way. You've
Yeah.
got
Let's say
things
that
to.
you do 5 seconds of cold water in the shower, and if you can go 10, try to do the 10.
Yeah. And when people breathe through it, maybe the next thing they know is that they're at 20 or 30 seconds. And then see how they feel afterwards. Because that's the reward, is how we feel afterwards.
Afterwards. Yeah,
Oof,
totally.
yeah. Well, thank you so much, Gabriela, for joining me
Oh,
today in
you're
this
welcome. Thank you for
live
inviting me.
stream. And yeah, I hope all goes well for you today. I hope you get better weather, better water conditions, because it's been tough for you.
Thank you.
And yeah, we'll be back live Monday.